What is up, Packers fans, and welcome to the pregame show, to what we're doing here on Pack-A-Day Podcast today. I am in an undisclosed location, an undisclosed Packers garage. I'm actually going to the game today, I've got some friends, a kid I used to coach in high school golf. His dad's from the Pacific Northwest. So we've been here all week playing golf and having an absolute blast. Super, super excited to be in Green Bay and kind of taking the game in as a fan. But first, we decided that we were going to go live here and take care of Andy and do the whole Pack-A-Day podcast thing. So, like I said, I got Reggie White over my left shoulder here, and I'm in a great spot. This Airbnb is very, very cool. So, guys, get your questions in. And we're super, super excited to be here today. The weather's been awesome. And the joint practice was crazy as far as what the fights and stuff. I thought Tucker Kraft had an unbelievable performance. I thought Green Bay's offense moved the ball well, struggled in spurts. The Kraft fumble on the screen. I thought Musgrave was really good. I thought Golden looked really good as well. From where we were sitting, because like I said, I brought Seahawk fan friends, and did not do a ton of work on where the Seahawks offense was taking on the Packers defense. We were kind of on the 50 of the main field. Green Bay's offense played over there, and so we did not get a chance to see a ton of what was going on. So let's get started with some questions, guys. These can fire right in whenever you're ready. Let's see. Consider the first question, I suppose. What players in particular are you looking for the most? I don't have a list. This is a stupid answer, but I don't have a list yet of who is and isn't going to play. With that said, Malik Willis is always really interesting, right? Because he's trying to maintain or even increase value for himself as far as what he might get in the free agency market, what trade value he might have in a tag and trade for the Packers, what kind of comp pick he would bring. He doesn't care what kind of comp pick he would bring back for the Packers, but the Packers care, and just watching him play good football is important. And really, too, I think one of the important things is, there was such a specific offense when Malik Willis was the quarterback, like such an unbelievably, like, we're going to do this, and this is stuff we don't do when Jordan's in, and this is stuff that we're going to do because Malik is in. You want to watch Malik Willis run the Packers offense if you can. And I find that stuff kind of fascinating. I know the quarterback is like such an easy answer, but that's really where I'm at, is the QB. And then I just don't know. Like, of course, the roster bubble guys, right? Like, I'm watching Kalen King. I'm watching Christian Welch. Certainly, watching. I kind of like Jalen Simpson, so I'd like to pay attention there. But it's hard without having a full list just sitting in front of me of who isn't going to play to really lock in on who I'm going to be paying attention to, because it's about the bubble, man, right? It's about the roster bubble. It's about who's going to make the team. Your Brenton Cox versus your Kingsley Enagbare, your 9th, 10th offensive lineman, 4th back if there's going to be one. Those are all the big ones that I would really be paying attention to. Okay, if a player is on the roster but one has a big game to get them over the hump, which player do you predict will do that today? Let's go Kalen King with either a forced fumble or a pick. I think right now he's the backup nickel. And I think if he could force a turnover today, I think that would lock it up. So there's my big call for this one, would be Kalen King with a forced fumble or a pick, probably playing that interior corner position that we've seen him at. And I think that would be a positive development for him. I've seen some Micah Robinson love. Obviously, there's the Kamal Hadden piece of it, and then a lot of folks just kind of zeroing in on Micah Robinson Kamal Hadden, and then Corey Ballantyne. Ballantyne is the one that folks are. I don't know how out of pocket it is, I guess, but I just Ballantyne's getting a lot of love. Ballantyne is getting some grace, I guess, for already being on the active roster and performing decently well in NFL games. But got to keep in mind, like they kept Kalen King and Kamal Hadden around when they could have kept Ballantyne around all offseason for a relatively low price. Now, I said relatively low. It wasn't the minimum. He got a decent amount of money to go elsewhere, then was released and has come back, et cetera, et cetera. But it seemed like they were sort of willing to move on. I think he's got less that's kind of guaranteed to him than most. Okay. Who do you believe will become the Packers' dominant defensive player this year? I really am. I've said it a lot. And, you would hope top 13 pick, top 14 pick, whatever he is, that this wouldn't be such a bold call. But I think at this point it kind of is. I mean, I'm really, really looking forward to what Lucas Van Ness can and will do this season. I think he's had a great camp. He's always had the tools. Now he doesn't have a broken hand, and he has a decent pass rush coach. I think the tools have always been there. Year 3 is often big for pass rushers and even for just like toolsy players who weren't that productive in college. And so Van Ness is definitely the one for me. Excuse me. If the Packers DBs end up struggling in coverage, you think it's likely to trade for a cornerback on cut down day? I don't. I think they feel really, really good about their top 3. And I think they're willing, and Melton, by the way, so they feel really good about their top 4. And I think they're definitely willing to roll with, because when you talk about coverage, right, you're talking about defense. And I know that's like, yeah, no duh, Ross, you're brilliant. But when you're talking about coverage, you're talking about like offense and defense. And really, when you get as far down the depth chart as we're talking about, if Bo Melton is your backup outside corner and Kalen King is your backup inside corner, you're talking about guys that can help on special teams. You're not going to trade for a corner that can help on special teams when you already have Corey Ballantyne in the building. Jennings makes the team. True or false? I'm going to assume that we mean Donovan Jennings here, because I can't remember, think of, et cetera, a different Jennings currently on the team. So yes, I think by almost default, unfortunately, just because of kind of what's going on around him, I don't think that anybody in that offensive line room is going to make it over Donovan Jennings at this time. I'm not buying that. Do you think we cut either Colby Wooden or Carl Brooks? I don't think so. I really don't. I think they're both safe. I think it's keep Nazir Stackhouse or keep Brinson or keep both. I'm not worried. If I were Wooden or Brooks, I would not be worried at this time. Yeah, I just wouldn't. Bo Melton and Corey Ballantyne be my choices at back end of the CB 53-man roster, guys. I get that. I do. I definitely can understand that. Right. So you'd be talking about keeping Melton. I think you're going to need one more, though. I think you're going to need one more. They're Packers for life, because you have Nixon, you have Hobbs, you have Ballantyne. It's probably some version of your starting 3. And then Melton, they're going to keep. We already talked about that. Ballantyne would make 5. So I think you're going to have to get one of Micah Robinson, Kalen King, and or Corey Ballantyne onto this team, or Kamal Hadden. Excuse me. You already said Ballantyne. Hadden, I think you have to do one of Hadden, Kalen King, and Micah Robinson. I don't think you can just go with 5 from both a depth perspective, with Hobbs being kind of nicked up, and then from a special teams perspective, I think they're going to want the bodies. Why on earth are the Packers not signing Rasul Douglas? Special teams. I would sign Rasul Douglas. Ross, would sign Rasul Douglas, but I know where they're not. They like Nixon. I get it. I get it enough. He was a functional outside corner. I have concerns about the longevity of that, but that doesn't mean I'm right. Right? Like I think that the sample size of him as an outside corner was really small. I think he was not a very good nickel, but his straight line speed suggests he probably should have been an outside corner all the time. So maybe he'll work out, and that would be phenomenal. If you're paying a slightly above average like league corner $8 million, that would be unbelievable. And then you have money invested in Hobbs. You like Valentine. So those are your defensive guys. Now, of course, that depth can evaporate. It can absolutely evaporate, and you're stuck doing God knows what, especially if you view Bullard as a safety now instead of a nickel. So I get that, but what you're not going to do, unless you're going to ask Valentine to run down on special teams, which they could, but I don't think they're going to do it. You're not going to ask Nixon to be on cover teams. He's going to be a returner. You're not going to ask Hobbs to be on cover teams. And if Valentine's not going to play cover teams, you can't keep a backup corner in Rasul Douglas who won't play special teams, because he won't. You will not ask Rasul Douglas to play special teams. He's a corner. If he comes to Green Bay, it's going to be to play corner, and you're going to start getting super thin. El Gersma will be QB3. Totally agree. I totally agree. And it's not that I think that El Gersma is like the next coming of whatever, but he's shown a live arm, and I never liked the Clifford pick. It was a 5th rounder, whatever. I would have Michael Pratt still around instead of Clifford, but I think there's nothing there. And I agree. Clifford shown little in 3 years. I agree. I think there's nothing there, and at least El Gersma gives you a little bit of something, and maybe not even like tangible something, but some hope, something that, okay, this could be better than, whatever. You want to use Madden terminology. If Sean Clifford is a 58 or a 60 or a 61, you're hoping maybe El Gersma could be a 70. And I know that's not how NFL teams do it, but I'm just saying, like, you're hoping that maybe it would be cool if El Gersma's like cool, or if El Gersma's big thing was, hey, I can be a above average NFL backup. I don't think that's on the table for Sean Clifford from what we've seen. Plus, got to remember, he's old, man. He's an old rookie. Who do you view as the core special teamers? I think Melton is number one core special teamer. I think any tight end that is not Crafter and Musgrave has to be viewed as a core special teamer. I'm going to guess Hop's going to be a core special teamer. Obviously, Zane Anderson is a core special teamer. Oladapo, I think, is a guy they really like if they do, and I think they will at this time. If they do keep Isaiah Simmons, I think he's a core special teamer. I think that's kind of your group of guys that are pretty locked in there. Heath, I think, will play some specials, but he's kind of tall and not that fast. He's not exactly, built for it the way that you would think. But backup safeties, backup corners, backup linebackers. Bisaccia really likes defenders. Not that you can't use wide receivers and running backs on special teams, because you can, and teams do. But Bisaccia specifically seems to really, really enjoy. Bisaccia really seems to enjoy defenders on special teams. So I get they're the guys that are paid to tackle. So I understand that. I keep Christian Welch over Isaiah Simmons myself. Might be good to keep 6 if they can make room on the 53. Yeah, I understand that. Simmons is certainly a more exciting special teamer from a lightweight speed standpoint. So I get that. He looks lost on defense, man. That's a killer. I hate that he looks lost on defense, because if he could even just be your 3rd best linebacker over there, like if it's not asking that much to be a better option than McDuffie, right? And not to like dump on McDuffie, but it's not asking that much to be an upgrade to McDuffie, and he just isn't, or hasn't been, or whatever. And honestly, it's a little exciting to think about from an athletic trait standpoint, like how athletic they could be at linebacker with Simmons and Quay and Cooper. Now, football IQ, I don't know, but range, athleticism, crazy. Oh, Cheddar 294, top 3 must visit restaurants in Green Bay. I'm coming in October for the Bengals game. Okay. I'm not going to do this on quality. I know that doesn't maybe sound like it makes a ton of sense, but I'm going to say like the must do's are Kroll's right across from uh, Lambeau Field because you hit like what you need to hit. Excellent cheese curds. The butter burger is legendary. Good service, good food. Right by the stadium, like all that's super easy. So that's a easy one to just pop off. The second one would certainly be Rustique Pizza. I think it's in Swamico. It's in town, but it's not in town. If that makes sense, it's not like in Green Bay. And then it's really up to you, kind of depending. I think I really enjoy the food out at Thornberry Creek. The golf course is good food. Other than that, the Green Bay Distillery I think has an excellent menu. And then there's just a lot of the breweries have pretty good bar food just in general. But it seems like Kroll's and Rustique are always like musts. And then there's like a pancake house, and I can't remember it's not an IHOP. There's a real. It's just called the Pancake Place. Breakfast at the Pancake Place. Got to do breakfast at the Pancake Place. That's a must. Yeah, they will. How about Christian Watson? I hope they keep. They will. He'll stay on the pup for the first 4 weeks, and then they'll start ramping him up. Christian Watson is in no danger of being released. So, okay. Yeah. If both Barron Sorrell and Colin Oliver start on IR, Aaron Mosby could make the 53. I totally agree. I don't love or I'm not excited by Aaron Mosby on defense. But as a teamer, he was on like every one last year. And if he's active, he's going to be on a ton of special teams. He's a height, weight, speed guy, man. You go and look at his relative athletic score. That's where you really want teams is, height, weight, speed. You want that on teams because it's a lot of running down the field, man, and being agile enough to grab, whatever. So that's where your guys that you get really excited about on teams come from is that height, weight, speed, and Mosby is height, weight, speed. He's not particularly tall, but like for a dude that's as thick as he is, he's really, really, really good athlete. Okay. If you could be either the head coach, the GM, or the president of the Packers for 5 years, which job would you pick and why? That's easy for me, GM. I love scouting. I love the draft. I love those types of like higher level interactions with players. I was a high school defensive coordinator for 1 year. I would be, not that I wouldn't be in over my head as the GM of the Packers. Let's be like abundantly clear about that. But I feel like I could at least attempt if with a really good staff to be the GM. I'd be swimming over my head being the coach. And as much as I like coaching too, like I was pretty comfortable at the high school level from an expertise standpoint. I felt comfortable running our 4-4, a lot of cover 3 stuff, a lot of cover 1 stuff. But beyond that, like I would rather dig in on like Division II pass rushers than dig in on more scheme defensively. So that's a cool question though. I like that. McDuffie is great versus the run, just sucks in coverage. Might be good to see Hopper. Yeah, I would love to see. Now, I think my understanding, my understanding was that they actually took Hopper thinking that he could be a Mike. I've heard that from a couple different sources, and he was pretty much a Mike in college, so that's not that crazy. But obviously, they have Quay Walker there, or they feel like they have Quay Walker there. So that's interesting because your will is your run and chase linebacker is Edgerrin Cooper. Like we don't have any questions about that. It's the most obvious thing in the world. The run and chase linebacker is for sure Edgerrin Cooper. You get past that, and the 2 inside linebacker positions are sort of similar, but I don't know. And when I say I don't know, I mean that seriously. Like I don't know. I don't. I don't know how many reps they've had at the other outside linebacker spot for Hopper. I think normally when he's in the game, he is like the backup Mike. I think he's the Mike that comes in when Quay's unavailable with that second unit, or not unavailable, like just comes in with the second unit. So I'd be interested. I think he and Quay next to each other would be super interesting. And I would like to see, what that's all about. So I like that question or statement, or however you, kind of phrase that. But yeah, no, I like that idea. I think there's a good chance that your best three linebackers, especially with how bad Simmons has looked, there's a good chance your best three linebackers are those guys. I love the idea of Micah Parsons, but did you hear Jerry Jones say he offered $200 million in most? Yeah. I'm 50-50 on Parsons. And I know that sounds crazy, but you'd be looking at like paying Micah Parsons and Jordan Love $95 million a year, right? Or Micah Parsons, Jordan Love, and Zach Tom like $115 million a year, or $117 million a year. And I don't necessarily think that Parsons wouldn't be a big deal. I think he would be. He's maybe my favorite defensive player in the league. I think that it would be a good pickup. I'm not saying that at all. You start to, sort of say goodbye to guys that maybe you'd like to extend. A Tucker Kraft, a Christian Watson. You're starting to look at hits, a Jaden Reed, guys that have quote unquote hit. You're almost certainly out of the Josh Jacobs business after this year, I would guess, because you can't afford to pay a running back that much if you're paying Parsons. You're starting to lose these flexibility things, and you're starting to really have to draft well to round out the roster. And I think having a really good tackle like Zach Tom, a quarterback like Jordan Love, and a pass rusher like Micah Parsons would be, and a true post safety in Xavier McKinney. All of those things are really good, like cornerstones. But you better nail like a shutdown corner or a franchise corner. Matthew Golden better be good. And it looks like he is. But you're going to have to be really, really, really good on the margins if you're going to do the Micah Parsons thing. So I'm, like I said, I'm about 50-50 because I see the good and the bad. And the good is really good, but the bad gets really kind of iffy financially when Jordan Love makes $55 million a year. No, I would keep Stackhouse. I have concern that they would just roll with 5 and roll with Brinson because he's the draft pick. And he, I think, was definitely behind Stackhouse after 1 week of the preseason. I think he might have outplayed Stackhouse in week 2. Or excuse me, Brinson might have outplayed Stackhouse in week 2. And so just generally, I'm not like locked in that Stackhouse would make the team. He would make my team. God's be good. He'd be on the practice squad if he doesn't. But no, I'm not. Roster lock is now uncomfortable for me. Which offensive lineman has impressed you the most this preseason? Why? Jordan Morgan, man. Jordan Morgan, God bless him. He looks like a franchise left tackle. And not only that, but he looked lost. I mean, and Van Ness has had an unbelievable season, unbelievable preseason training camp, whatever you want to call it. So I think he's coming for a lot of people's necks. But Morgan, after like the rough family night against Van Ness, he killed it in 2 straight preseason games. He looked, and it was like easy. It was effortless looking, which is the nicest thing you can say about pass protection. I know all these guys are giving, absolutely maximum effort, but when you're that smooth and that just able to keep your butt between the quarterback and the pass rusher, that's super impressive to me, man. It's super impressive to me because he looked kind of like a mess on family night, and he very much very much did not look like a mess in the first couple weeks of preseason. So for sure, Jordan Morgan. Yes, and you have to nail your fewer draft picks. You're exactly right. You're exactly right. Okay. I'm not vamping here. I'm trying to pick a question. With ex-Packers, do you like to root for them, against them, or forget about them when they move on to another team? I think the easy part would be depends on who they play for, right? That's the easy answer to that question. Are they a Viking? Are they a Bear? Are they in a situation where they can cost the Packers in a playoff game? Are they in the NFC? All those types of things. How did they leave town? What was their the way that they left town, I guess, or the way that they exited. All those things matter. How well liked were they when they hear how involved in the community where they were, or were they, all those types of things, right? You do certainly have guys like Micah Hyde. I hoped that he was awesome in Buffalo, and he was. It was an AFC team. He's a really good human being. I thought Green Bay kind of goofed up letting him go. Happy for Micah Hyde. Same thing with Casey Hayward. Went to an AFC team. I thought Green Bay goofed up letting him go. He had a great run in San Diego. So that's something certainly to watch as far as like what team they go to, because I didn't wish good things for Greg Jennings when he went to the Vikings, right? I didn't wish good things for Desmond Bishop when he went to the Vikings. That's a lot harder to do. And obviously Favre and Rodgers, even though Rodgers went to the FC, I mean, it's tough to do some of that stuff and really get your heart into it when you don't necessarily feel that way. But I think it's not fair to root root against all of the former Packers. I don't think that makes a ton of sense. All right, guys, we're going to wrap up the show for the day. Like I said, just a 30-minute show today. We're at about the 28-minute mark. I need to make my way over to beautiful Lambeau Field, but we appreciate all you guys for your questions and for watching. Hope you have a great time watching the game. I'm very, very interested to see the inactives list as far as who they won't let play and who they will, because I think it's an off week for the whole league next week. They don't have NFL. I know they don't have NFL games next weekend. So see how many starters get in, see how many starters Seattle has in. We'll see a bunch of different things as far as that matchup is concerned. And just keep in mind, in general, this doesn't matter. It does, but it doesn't. Like you don't be as in despair after week one. There's no reason to be super excited after week two, after Sean Clifford ran in a touchdown. You're really looking for, I think, individual performances and guys that are going to step up, try to take a spot on the 53 or try to take a spot on the 53 plus practice squad. I look for individual games and I guess attitudes and stuff like that, but I'm not even looking at scheme because they're not running the cool stuff. They just won't, right? So overall team depth, overall attitude, individual performances, guys trying to make the team. Folks, have a great game day Saturday, and as always, go Pack Go.